There was a piece in the New York Times that is outlining Ron DeSantis is having trouble figuring out how he goes after Donald Trump. And, you know,
get to it, Meatball Ron.
Right. Nick Cohn had a piece, you know, I think it was it today? Yes. Arguing that Ron DeSantis is not Scott Walker from the perspective of like a polling standpoint. Because more people in the Republican Party want DeSantis to be president than did Scott Walker at this time. And the only, you know, I'm sure that's quite true. It is, but he sort of misses the real point about this. He has a graph up. In fact, do you guys have this link? Let's put this graph up. I'm going to send it to you. It's just scroll down. You'll see it. The funny thing about these people is that they don't really pay attention to their own sort of like data. It is the true. No, go down, scroll down a little bit. Right there. Yeah. Here's the problem with this. It's rare company. They're saying that and these data guys don't pay attention to. Here, Ted Kennedy, 1980, 47% wanted him to be presidential candidate. Well, Ted Kennedy lost in the primary to Jimmy Carter. George W. Bush, 2000, 44%. Fair enough. Hillary Clinton, in 2008, 35% wanted her to be.
What happened then?
She did not. She lost, incidentally, to Barack Obama, 20%. But here's the one that really should be telling. Rudy Giuliani in 2008, 33%. The dude did not make it out of New Hampshire. I covered that up in New Hampshire, the Republican primaries. And it was unbelievable how few people showed up to see Rudy Giuliani in New Hampshire. And I know there's no way to measure lack of enthusiasm, but it felt more real than you could almost touch the lack of enthusiasm for Rudy Giuliani. And the thing about Ron DeSantis, there may be interest in him, but none of it is a function of like a single word that anyone's heard him say. It really is just like all the super wokeness or anti-wokeness articles that are written about what he's doing and how much he's got people up. And the fact is, when this guy starts talking, in the same way with Giuliani, his whole thing was built on 9/11, and he was America's mayor, and et cetera, et cetera. When Ron DeSantis gets in front of a crowd, he's Scott Walker.
Oh, yeah. And the fact that he's still struggling to respond to Trump is telling just in and of itself. Trump is calling him a groomer, a pedophile. Now he's calling him Meatball Ron, making fun of him, which is an improvement on Ron the Sanctimonious. Although, honestly, both are pretty decent. But, like, yeah, I mean,
Here it is. Pop this up.
Yeah,
this is in the story. Since November, despite the criticism he faced at the time, Mr. Trump has periodically hit out at his potential rival, albeit to a relatively small audience. He posted his most recent innuendo about the government on Truth Social, where he has just under 5 million followers. That innuendo, I guess, was about him.
Photograph of
him partying with some teenage girls.
Yes, which was documented by the Times as well, where he was a 23-year-old teacher at this high school, and he would go regularly to parties with the seniors.
I don't think that's necessarily just an innuendo.
Yeah, no.
Right? I mean, there's also like, should a 23-year-old be partying with his 17-year-old students, even if nothing else happened? I sort of think, no.
Hey, what's in the bottom, Meatball Ron?
But then he's insulted Mr. DeSantis in casual conversations, describing as Meatball Ron. And then they write an apparent dig at his appearance, or shut down Ron, a reference to restrictions the governor put in place at the beginning of the coronavirus. Now, shut down Ron.
Not as good.
Not as good. But But Meatball Ron is a dig at his appearance?
I don't
really?
quite think the Times has got to the bottom of that one. yet.
Yeah.
I think it's more just
We may need to put a
anti-Italian.
couple of other reporters on there.
Yeah. Just do an analysis of his physique and then see if it's close to a meatball.
DeSantis.
Yeah, Meatball Ron di spaghetti. That's,
DeSantis. DeSantis.
Yeah, maybe it's an
What does that
anti-Italian slur.
What does that mean, DeSantis? What is that last name?
But the
Meatball Ron?
fact that this is happening, like there's been months now of Trump going after him, and he's still quivering, like not sure how to respond. I'm above this. I don't attack other Republicans. We're not just saying that he doesn't have the juice just because we think it's funny and Trump's a good trash talker. It's because that is not going to play well in a Republican primary. We know what the base wants to a degree.
But he's boxed in too because he has to be like the above it guy because that's his like sort of
that is the
reason.
key.
But you
right
lose
there.
that.
No one wants that.
Here's the
Yeah.
problem that he has. In addition, the problem is exactly what Matt says, is that he's supposed to be Trump without the baggage. And if he starts calling Trump, little tiny hands Trump or something, which is actually a good one, tiny Trump or tiny hands Trump or whatever it is, or, has been or whatever it is, then he starts to look like the same drama queen that Trump is. And he's not going to do it as well. And then he just becomes like with all of Trump's baggage, but none of the pizzazz. But the other problem he has is that, like Emma says, it's not even been since he's attacked. Like DeSantis has known for a year or two that he wants to run against Trump. And so the first meeting you would imagine would be like, okay, we've got all the horrible anti-woke policies that we're going to follow. What do we do when we actually start running against Trump? Mm-hmm. Like when he comes up with a nickname, Tiny Peanuts Ron, or, Meatball Ron, or
I'm still gunning for Rip-Off Ron.
Rip-Off Ron, Mini-Me Ron, Mini Me Ron. Whatever it is that he comes up with, what are we going to respond with? And they go, well, just seem a little bit hurt and pretend you're Ronald Reagan.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I follow Reagan. And like if he brings up Reagan, this is what the Republican Party is going to say. Who? Because they disappeared Reagan for 6 years. Like Ronald Reagan was like literally was like a saint. Like when Ronald Reagan died, like Peggy Noonan wanted to run and throw herself in the coffin. I mean, they were so in love with this guy. And then Trump shows up and they're like, forget that guy.
Well, that was the weak stuff. We've got the purest form here.
But I think the big issue DeSantis has on the other end of that is not pissing off the Trump tankies too much when he does decide to do anything sort of combative towards Trump. Because on one hand, it is like the don't want to piss off the civility-minded or normie-minded voters, but also if he thinks, I do have to get tough on Trump, I have to be the belligerent one too, there are probably going to be Trump voters who are mad at him for doing that.
Well, that's why they all stayed away from him in the last election. And the thing is, too, is that, it's just countdown until Trump says, like, I don't know if I could support him. Mm-hmm. I don't think I could support Biden, but I also got to say, like...
Also, Jill was looking great at the speech.
What's the difference between Biden and DeSantis?
Jill is very beautiful.
It's Greece versus
just like
Italy.
I like it.
I don't know. Meatball Ron
What?
or Meatball Biden? What's the difference?
The Republicans, by like going along with Trump's election lies, like kind of box themselves in too. Because the easiest thing DeSantis could say is, "You lost. You're a loser. You lost to Biden, one-term president."
Right. Except
But
for
they-
now, like
they
I think Ron knows a little better than that. Real shame that all of a sudden Ron DeSantis thinks that we can trust the Democrats to run. Maybe he didn't hear about the acid-washed servers in Germany.
What?
Or-
You don't think you think Biden won?
Oh,
This guy, get a load of Meatball Ron. He thinks Biden won the election.
Cook to the
Yeah.
Democrats.
maybe you've had a little too much Chianti. Too much Chianti, baby.
Your
Right?
anti-Italian
Yeah,
discrimination.
I
over
don't
here.
know. Like,
But back to those cone
pasta
figures.
brain. Sorry.
That no, it's okay. That cone number there. So much of like I'd be okay with him as president thing. It's just the polling is not determinative at this point whatsoever.
Useless.
And it's so useless. And it's especially useless because I actually think it's painting the wrong picture, because there has been a media blitz, not just in conservative media, but in media like the New York Times, that he's Trump without the baggage. Like, oh, let's go to this guy, right? He can get the populist base, and then he's also a little more reasonable. I mean, did you hear he went to Yale? And like that whole push is driving all
a lot of
this.
people say UPenn better than Yale.
Yeah, right.
So
sorry.
yeah, gee, went to Yale, so he's like, I mean, it's just unbelievable.
But that is really how these kind of credentialists, like liberals,
Yep.
think, and so that they are the twin forces that are artificially inflating this completely charismatic free dude, and it's just charisma free dude. Ironically, I messed up there, but
ironically,
ironically run. Not. I just don't think he's got it. I think,
right,
and it's fun
I'm
to
going to tell
watch.
you right now
Yeah.
what it's going to be. I just figured it out.
Okay.
More Ron DeSantis. More Ron DeSantis.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty good. Now,
Say in the comments below. This is me encouraging engagement. Is that better than Rip-Off Ron? I still think Rip-Off Ron's
Rip-Off
better.
Ron's pretty good.
I'm curious if there are any other alternatives we're not thinking of.
Cannoli run, pizza run.
Trump does have the benefit that Ron looks like he's like maybe a little bit fatter than Trump at this point.
I wonder if he's like gonna like if he's gonna bring it to like, I don't know, about Meatball Ron's got some very strange friends.
Yeah. Ooh,
Yeah.
Vesper run.
Right. Don Ron.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know, he's got some weird friends down
Gelato
there.
run.
Ron does. Maybe too many
Rhonda.
Italian friends, if you know what I'm saying. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know.
Just starts calling him Rhonda.
646-257-3920 is the phone number.